good, y'all? This is JV here for K Vibes, doing an album review for you guys. Today we're getting into the fifth album by SHINee, One of One. Super hyped to check this out. Sorry about the little delay, but you guys know I don't really like rushing out album reviews. I like to live with the album as long as that takes until I feel comfortable speaking on it and, really coming to, a consensus as to what I think about this. So this album, SHINee out of SM Entertainment, been killing it for a minute now, and I absolutely adore their discography, man. Definitely my favorite boy group out of SM. I think they just have such a strong body of work, and they've been killing it, with release after release. I've liked pretty much everything they've released, even, their newer material. After Everybody, Married to the Music, View, they've just dropped fantastic material. And so this album finally came out, and I was super excited about this album because I know they were going for a retro theme. And I wasn't sure how that was going to translate to the album as a whole. I wasn't sure if they were going to go for like the main single being a throwback track and the rest of it kind of just being, random pop songs, or was that going to be a theme that reoccurs through the entire album. And after listening to this, I've listened to this album probably, 5 or 6 times, and I've revisited certain songs more than that. So I feel like, I've definitely got a grasp on what they were going for in this album. And I gotta say, yeah, that throwback sound definitely reoccurs through many of the tracks on this. And it's definitely a cohesive body of work that they put together here. One thing I do like about SHINee is when it comes to, writing material and participating in the kind of camps that put these albums together, they're super hands-on. So I definitely respect their artistry and respect how, like Onu and Junghyun intimately work with the various production and writing teams there at SM to put together their music. So yeah, I mean, 9 songs long. You know that a lot of these K-pop releases aren't super long, and I definitely like it at 9 songs. It does not overstay its welcome. It's a pretty easy listen. It's about half an hour to get through the project, so it's a pretty brief listen. And man, love every single song on this. I love it that there's no real ham on this. They cut it down to the real great sections of this. So let's just get started. You guys know how I do these album reviews. I usually go track by track, give you guys my quick thoughts, and then at the end, give you guys my thoughts on the album as a whole. Let's get started. First one, Prism. Definitely heard a lot of praise on this particular song before I got the chance to listen to the album. So I may have came into this a little biased. I could admit that. Everybody's talking Prism is so good, Prism is go good. And I gotta say, I agree with them wholeheartedly. This song is fantastic, man. I feel like there's 3 songs that could have definitely been singles on this particular album. Prism being one of them, One of One obviously, and then Shift, which I'll get into those later. But yeah, man, Prism, high energy from the rip. Love the production on this. The vocal mixing is on point. The vocal layering and the group participation on this. So an amazing way to kind of set the stage and set the tone of this particular album. It does have that kind of throwback sound that reoccurs through the album. So that was a great way to start it off. And that transitions perfectly into One of One, which I spoke lightly on with my reaction to their song. So go check that out if you haven't. Thus far, I have reacted to it. Love this, man. It has that kind of New Jack Swing kind of 80s vibe to it. It immediately brought me back to like Belle Biv DeVoe. I got some New Edition vibes to it. So fantastic choice for them to go in that particular direction. Love the colored suits and the visual that they did. And it fits perfectly in this particular album. It's light, it's bouncy, the vocals are super sharp. And then that brings us into Feel Good. Love the chorus on this, man. Super infectious. Got it stuck in my I can make you feel good. Hey, I love it. They definitely go like a house kind of vibe there in the production for it, and I just think that was an absolute bop. Then it brings us into Don't Let Me Go. Interesting kind of change of pace from the previous releases on it. Got like a nice hip-hop feel there to the instrumental, so I definitely love that. Then that translates into Lipstick. Great thing about Lipstick is it brings that tempo back a little bit, and it focuses on the vocals now. The previous songs up until that point have very strong production on it. Strong instrumentals, in your face, centralized melodies over there in the synths. Lipstick kind of strips that all back and gives you a chance to really appreciate their vocals, and that kind of carries on to the next song, Don't Stop, which also has the lower key kind of swelling, low key, still electronic production. These are definitely more of the contemporary sounding tracks on the album, because a lot of the rest of it, I wouldn't say is straight like 90s or 80s sounding, because it does carry a lot of contemporary production styles, but it kind of like meets perfectly in the middle between the two kind of like eras, between the modern style of K-pop that, you know, SHINee does so well, with incorporations of like, you know, UK garage and Chicago deep house and future house, with a lot of like the New Jack Swing, and then, you know, light hip hop and R&B elements from the 90s and 80s that they're borrowing from on this particular project. And Don't Stop is definitely more on the contemporary side of that. Brings us into the song 7, Shift. My personal favorite song, hands down, on the album. Love this track. Definitely go back to that future house kind of vibe to it. It's just so good, man. The production on this, super electronic. Not the most vocally ambitious song on this album, but this is definitely the song I find myself gravitating to the most. Love this song. If I had personal choice on what their single would have been, I would have chose Shift, though it does kind of fit, you know, hand in hand with the deep house feel that SM has been doing a lot lately, even with their, you know, later recent release, View. So I get why they might not go for Shift. You want to incorporate that into the album, because that's definitely the sound that they've dabbled in and mastered, in my opinion. So I apparently LDN Noise, also the you know, electronic British duo, or I believe they're a duo, maybe a trio, sorry if I'm mistaken, collaborated with them on. I know for this particular album, and this SM tends to do this a lot, is that they kind of make like a camp of masters of just music coming together and kind of brainstorming and working together to put an album out. And it's a very interesting technique to use, because it's you know, there's different techniques to put out albums. You know, some people like to just lock themselves in the studio by themselves and work, you know, maybe intimately with their favorite kind of you know, producer or something like that, kind of like a Drake and 40 kind of situation. Or sometimes, you know, they'll get the whole, you know, team together, like SM did with Red Velvet and this particular album. So Shift, fantastic song. Then it brings us into You Need Me, interesting transition point. Love how electronic and sharp the production is on this. Super like contemporary sounding, all over the place kind of sounding, but not in a disjointed kind of way, just a masterful, super busy instrumental. I would love to hear the instrumental version of this song. I haven't got the chance to check that out or see if it even exists. I would love to see it without the vocals, because it sounds so busy and nuanced and layered, and I would love to, you know, strip that down and get to see what's going on there. So thought they did a fantastic job on You Need Me. And then lastly, So Amazing, which I know the group's definitely participated in. Great way to lead out the project, super energetic, love the vocals on this, super in your face in the production. And man, I just thought this was a fantastic album. My final thoughts on it, the song One of One in and of itself, not my favorite SHINee release, I can admit that. Probably my favorite SHINee release still is probably Replay, which is crazy that, you know, that was their debut song, but to me, that song resonates with me the most. But they have other songs like Lucifer and stuff like that that I really, really enjoy. But this, in terms of a full body of work, a full album, definitely in the running for, you know, first or second place in terms of their releases as a complete body of work, in my opinion. I think it's the most fleshed out, it's the most cohesive, it's the most, you know, versatile. It shows their vocals, great production on it, great group participation, great writing on it. Loved, you know, the theme of One of One, you know, basically a lover talking to his significant other, telling her, you know, how unique she is to him, how much she means to him, and how she's, you know, one of one. And that's not necessarily a unique theme that we've seen in pop music. There's people who have dabbled in that kind of theme. Most recently, I think like Tyga did a song like that, One of One, literally with the same title, with similar themes. So this is not necessarily the most unique theme in the world, but I think it translates to SHINee perfectly. I think there's definitely a recurring theme that they've dabbled in many times, and I just think this album is flawless top to end. Definitely in contending for, you know, top K-pop releases of this year. I would go as far as say top releases period, any country of this year, in my opinion. Curious as to what y'all thought about it, so in the comment section below, let me know what you thought about this this album. What is your favorite song on it? What do you think about SHINee as a whole? How do you think this compares to their previous discography? Let me know what your thoughts are. Till next time, this is JV here for K Vibes. I love you guys. Bye.